Hey everyone, my name is Danny. I'm the product manager of the True Blue Auto Belay, which is the market leader in auto belays. And today I want to talk about the top 3 benefits we're seeing that businesses get to experience when they adopt auto belays in their facilities. What I love about my job is I get the opportunity to travel to climbing gyms all over the country and world, and I get to see everything happen firsthand. I get to learn about both deep inside the technology as well as the business benefits of these products, and I'm excited to talk about all of that today. Outside of work, I'm an avid climber. I do a lot of mountaineering. This past summer, I made it up onto the Grand Teton, and when I'm not climbing or mountaineering, I'm probably in an indoor climbing gym. I'm a bit of a gym rat, I'm not gonna lie. And outside of that, I also do some volunteer trail work in the mountains of Colorado. But enough about me. Today, I wanna talk about this industry that we're all in, and I wanna talk about how quickly it's growing. 1,500 people try the sport of climbing for the first time every single day in this country alone. And the biggest indicator, the economic indicator for this growth is through the indoor climbing gym segment, and it's growing at 10%. This happened just in 2017. The industry grew 7% faster than our entire economy. It means that we're all in a good industry to be working. I want to talk about a fundamental shift that's going on in our industry. Over the last 100 years, it wasn't until recently that indoor climbing gyms became anything other than a rainy day training center for those who are already climbers. What we're now seeing is a convergence. We're seeing the health club industry start to bring people into the climbing industry. People are replacing their need for moving around and working out with going into an indoor facilities just designated specifically for fitness, and they're not coming to a climbing gym. Outside Magazine just released an article talking about how climbing gyms are the new health clubs. So as a result, we're seeing 3 new demographics enter into the picture. We're seeing, of course, the climber, the pro climber who might be working on their next project, but we're also seeing the busy professional who's looking for an efficient and accessible option on their way to or from work. We're also seeing families who are saying, I want to see what all this climbing buzz is about. I want to bring my kids in. Can they try rock climbing? And as a result, these new demographics are bringing new challenges. For every 6 new gyms that open their door, there's still 1 that closes. And so I had to ask myself, what is exactly causing some gyms to thrive while others are not doing so well? Additionally, we're seeing a lot of consolidation. Climbing Business Journal released an article talking about the merger between Earthtreks and Planet Granite. Some of you might be participating in this merger. The reality is, for gyms big and small, some are doing well and others are still going to have to react and figure out what is going to differentiate them. So I asked myself, what's the common thread that separates some gyms from others? And what I learned is there's 3 major elements that often lead to success. And the first one that I saw is a focus on steady cash flows, and that can be accomplished through creating multiple revenue streams. Whether your business model is focused on day passes, growing your membership volume, or growing your programming revenues through birthdays or instructional courses, cash flows seem to be a vital component, unsurprisingly, to a business's ability to thrive. Secondly, highly innovative offerings seem to be crucial. So what I mean by that is unique route setting, frequent route setting. These are basics, but providing a unique atmosphere. Maybe your focus is community, maybe your focus is motivational speakers, maybe your focus is some sort of stewardship that you do outside of the gym. It seems that innovation and being unique is something that is vital. And then thirdly, a focus on customer experience. So that can be friendly front desk staff, a pain-free waiver process for those beginners. And I think thirdly, meeting people where they're at. So again, with these new demographics in mind, understanding that they may not have done this before, what options are you providing for them? Climbing Magazine actually released an article about how difficult the belay test can be to the beginner or even the experienced person. If you're an experienced person, the specific process that you have to go through at some of these facilities can be very painstaking and very bureaucratic. And if you've never climbed before, it can be very intimidating and it can send you back out the door. They released an article, "It's time for our sport's most dreaded pass-fail exam. the rock gym belay test. You know, I think this is the most bureaucratic and for some intimidating part of our industry, which is actually closing the door. This old school mentality is rather elite. It's saying you need to be able to tie before you can even try the sport. It's saying, you know, hey, if you don't know how to belay, I'm sorry, we might not have an option for you. You can try the bouldering or you probably have to go. And so the pro climber can accommodate and adjust to this requirement, but these busy professionals and these families really don't have an option in this kind of old school, more elitist mentality. But the new shift that I'm seeing some gyms capitalize on, they're saying, hey, let's get you on the wall. Let's meet you where you're at. Whether you're an individual who doesn't have a partner with you, whether you're on a busy schedule and you don't have much time and you have to be efficient, or whether you're a family and you've never learned anything about rock climbing before, we're gonna have an option for you. So I first want to talk about how an auto belay can be a gateway for your climbers. And it's important to understand these new demographics first and foremost. So let's look at the busy professional. He might be commuting 25 minutes a day to his job, to and from work. And Americans are working more hours than any other country in the world. It's so important that something is accessible and as efficient as the indoor gym can be for this guy. And for families, it's uncommon that you're going to find a parent who can belay their kid. You know, I live here in Boulder, Colorado. We see it all the time where parents do know how to belay their kids. But the reality is you're more often going to find a mother who's saying, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I want my kid to try rock climbing. And you know, more often than not, a parent wants to be there to emotionally support or coach their kid than they want to be focusing on making sure their kid is safe throughout the process by staring at their waist and belaying them. So in short, I really want to emphasize how this can be providing an avenue for these new demographics. And to confirm that, we went out into the field and we interviewed some industry professionals in Boulder, Colorado. We were able to connect with Kevin Baines, who's been managing operations for over 15 years at the Boulder Rock Club. And here's what he had to say about how auto belays can be a gateway.
Yeah, when you're turning away customers that say, I want to try rock climbing, you have rock climbing, why can't I rock climb? That's a really hard conversation to have with parents and 2 kids at the front desk. Now it's way easier. It's just yes, 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 let's get you going.
I think it's also to understand that there's a misconception that auto belays, some people think that they're threatening the learning of traditional climbing skills. And what we learned through our interviews was in fact that the auto belays can be supporting a beginner in their learning journey. We connected with Jake at Ubergrippen, and here's what he had to say.
By introducing people to the sport quicker and showing them that climbing is a lot of fun, they're more willing to take the next step, which is to learn how to belay, to learn how to climb more advanced routes, to eventually learn how to lead climb. But it all starts with someone walking in the door on a Saturday afternoon saying, I've never climbed before, what can I do? And instead of turning them away and saying, well, you need to sign up for a class, come back on Tuesday, we can say, yeah, we can get you started. We only have 11 auto belays here, which is actually quite a lot, but those 11 auto belays gives most people a really great opportunity for their first time to get their feet off the ground and ascend some great height and have that exhilaration that happens when you reach the top. And by making that positive impact on people, by capturing their attention and giving them that reward, we've instantly created a climber. And now our goal is to take that climber that we created on day one and grow them over the next months or years.
I think the most important thing is it's not until somebody is 30 feet up on the wall that they realize, wow, climbing is amazing. I want to do more of this. I want to learn how to tie in. I want to take a belay class. Perhaps I'll try sport climbing. Maybe I'll even go outside and I'll try traditional climbing. You know, it starts somewhere and auto belays can be that gateway. So the big picture of this is that, you know, you might have somebody who's walking in the door, but there's this big chasm before they actually learn to top rope or belay somebody else. And then eventually there's sport climbing where they might learn to lead or even take it outside. And auto belays can serve as a bridge to help these visitors turn into climbers and become somebody who might even be a climbing gym member for you if they get to fall in love with the sport first. And that's where we believe climbers are born, when they're 30 feet up on the wall. The reasons that they might never make it there: they don't have a partner with them, they don't know how to tie in, they're intimidated that they don't remember every single step of the process, they simply can't come back to the time where the belay test or the belay class will then be available. These are all reasons you could be losing on potential opportunities to shape people into passionate climbers. Secondly, I want to talk about something called the auto belay effect. So if you look at a climbing gym in a geographic market that does not have auto belays and compare it to another climbing gym in the same geographic market that does have auto belays, you'll see some interesting things. And this all comes from real Google Maps data, by the way. So here we see there was a gym that did not have auto belays in the off-peak hours between 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. And once auto belays were introduced, so comparing this against a different gym in the same market, you saw more frequent visitation during these off-peak hours, which is very interesting because that means there's all of this opportunity that is not being met by so many gyms. Additionally, if you look at the peak hour, so this is the after-work rush, when every single climbing lane might be saturated with 2 partners, and you simply you don't think you could accommodate any more memberships, whatever your membership capacity is, you'll see that the auto belays actually grow this capacity. So the gym with the auto belays had a lower peak capacity, which allowed them to grow that membership volume to an extent that they didn't expect, because all those climbers are now coming at different times of the day. So this was a very interesting thing that we were able to realize through secondary available data on the internet. Secondly, how can an auto belay be a teacher? What educational value can an auto belay offer to somebody who wants to be a rock climber who might be climbing outside? Well, to find out, we interviewed Chris Wall, who's the head fitness program director, as well as a head coach of the team and individuals at the Boulder Rock Club. And he's been doing this for over 25 years, and here's what he had to say about the educational value of an auto belay.
The True Blue auto belays, because of how the mechanism works, and especially with the speed auto belay, whether it's personal training clients or the team, it's not only a convenient tool in terms of their training, it's a convenient tool in terms of their education. We can do things with an auto belay that are very, very difficult to do when you're using like a top rope, for example. So like teaching somebody how to lead climb. They can be clipped into an auto belay, and they can also be trailing the lead line, and you can have someone practicing their belaying on the lead line, but you never get into a situation where there's a real lead fall happening.
So in case you weren't visually following what Chris was saying, let's discuss a little bit. Imagine you're a first-time climber and you want to pass your belay test, and the climbing gym lets you in with the exclusive access of being able to use the auto belays, or your friend. Your friend will actually be able to be climbing on the wall while they're primarily attached to the auto belay, but allow you to practice passing the rope, for example, a second top rope, through either an ATC, if you got a tube-style belay device, maybe a cam-style belay device. Perhaps they're even practicing belay you while you're lead climbing, so they get to prepare for their lead test. Additionally, if you're by yourself, maybe you're preparing for your own lead test as a climber, you could be practicing clipping, making sure you're not Z-clipping, making sure you're not back clipping, by using the auto belay and just trailing a lead line with no other climber because you're primarily attached to the auto belay. And so there's this tremendous learning opportunity available when there's an auto belay in your facilities. Thirdly, how can an auto belay be a tool for your existing members? A lot of you already know this. Let's talk about triathlons, to use an analogy. For example, there's nothing better than getting out into open water, biking on the road, or running out and logging those miles. But there's a time and a place where you're going to need to go to an indoor swimming pool, or practice on a bike trainer, or run on a treadmill because of its accessibility, because of how you can modify and customize your workouts when you're training. And these are so important. I mean, in rock climbing, there's the same analogy. There's nothing better than actually getting out and climbing on real rock. But if it's a rainy day, or you're practicing for a big wall project, you really need to log your training in, and you can't always get outside to do that. And I think the most interesting way for us to learn about how people are doing this was to interview somebody who's not only coaching some of the top athletes in the country, but somebody who has some tremendous personal records as an outdoor trad climber. And so here's what Justin Sjong had to say.
For your typical trad climber who's looking to climb a big wall, often we're looking to climb these things, these 1,000-foot faces in a day. A typical training routine would consist of climbing a couple thousand feet per day, a couple times a week. And to log that mileage, wherever you happen to live with your daily life of your job and career, family, and limited time, the auto belay at the gym, I mean, you can easily log 1,000 feet of vertical climbing in a couple hour session at the gym. And the auto belay is a great tool. I mean, just imagine spending all that time having a belayer blowing out their elbows and shoulders. The auto belay will save your partner's life.
So when you need to log those training miles and you don't want to make somebody else suffer, the auto belay can allow you to train without requiring you have somebody who's just sitting there and belaying you for pitches upon pitches. I think one of the best interviews we had was with pro climber Paige Claassen, and here's how she talked about how auto belays can benefit from the pro athlete perspective.
I think that True Blues are the most effective for endurance training because you can get so many laps in a short amount of time. You're not switching with a partner. You don't have that downtime of belaying, straining your neck up, whatever that entails. You're kind of wasting time in a way if your focus is endurance training. So if you can go in, clip in, and do as many laps as you want throughout the gym, it's a really effective way to get super pumped. You are maybe going to be hard pressed to find a partner who wants to belay you for like 10 pitches in a row. It's not really a fun task. True Blue doesn't care.
So auto belays allow you to actually be considerate for what another person would have to actually do if you were to be logging the amount of training vertical feet that you would need. And I think the most important thing is that you can run those laps without having somebody else suffer the burden. So if you look at all the different ways auto belays can be a training tool, whether you're with somebody else and you're just simply warming up simultaneously to save time before you start partner climbing, whether you're practicing your footwork and you're down climbing, whether you're logging a power hour on your lunch break or before work or even on your commute home right before you get home and cook dinner, the important thing is that the auto belay can provide that efficiency for you. And we actually have unique training programs that are power endurance programs that have been developed over multiple weeks that allow you to build the endurance that you're looking to train for if that's one of your goals. So looking at this big picture one more time, we know how auto belays can be that gateway for beginners, but now we're also understanding that auto belays can be a tool for your existing members and teach those beginners new skills that helps them progress along their climbing journey. So that's how an auto belay can be a gateway for new demographics, specifically these busy professionals and these curious families with their kids. That's how an auto belay can be a teacher. It can allow a beginner or a novice to learn new skills, specifically on the belaying or the lead climbing side. And finally, an auto belay can be a training tool that can allow people to progress and log that endurance that they need without burdening somebody else. I know you probably have one more question on your mind if you don't have auto belays and you're wondering, what is the ROI on all of this? And I think it's important that we cover that. So let's do a quick case study. There's one gym in Wisconsin that decided to volunteer to be a case study. And they purchased 18 True Blues, and each one starts at $21.95. And you might think, wow, this might be a bit of an investment, but $40,000, and taking into account our ongoing servicing as well as replacing the webbings of the unit can range from $300 to $500 depending on the amount of visitation you're seeing at your facilities. But as a return for all of this, so first to break even, they only needed 7 unique day passers to pay off this investment if they come in every day for a year, or 64 new members in the first year to pay off that entire investment. Additionally, that's only 1 month to break even, and they saw 2.2 million in new revenues because of all these people who can now come into the facilities in years 1 through 3. So aside from those top 3 benefits for your climbers, you're now seeing some tremendous financial benefits if you were to consider autobelays for your facilities. And at this point in time, I just wanted to thank you. If you have any questions about our products, please don't hesitate to shoot us an email at info@headrushtech.com. And I want to thank you for listening and coming to the CWA Summit this year. Hope to see you next year.